All right, the meeting come to order.
Yes,
Also-
good morning, board members, and thank you for coming to this meeting. I know that we have some of our board members here present physically, and we also have a board member here virtually as well. To start this brown bag work session, I would like to introduce Mr. Roger Campos, who is going to lead us in our invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance to start off.
Bow your heads. As we enter today as members of Southwest ISD, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to our fellow citizens and to our community. Keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those which our future generations can build upon. Let us continue to strive to make a better world.
To the flag
of the
United
States of America,
and to the republic one nation,
a nation of God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the United States,
Texas,
under God, one indivisible.
indivisible.
Go ahead and take your time. I'll wait on you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, I'm late.
All right, I am going to open up item 3. I heard there's nothing, but we'll open it up for public comments. Do we have anybody that wants to speak to the board?
We did not have anyone sign up to speak to any of our agenda items. So
Would you
we won't be on that item.
Would you prefer to go to item 4, or do you want to go down and take care of some of the others? I know you were talking about both.
Can we just go ahead and that'd be okay right now?
All right, I got a whole bunch of reading to do before we go into closed session, so buckle up. Get rid of this. We will next consider the level 3 appeal submitted by Mrs. Annie Byers, which grievance was dismissed as untimely. This grievance will be heard in closed session, and as the request of the parent, they will be presented to the board via video conference presented. The board will now convene into closed session under the authority of the Texas Government Code, sections 551.074, 551.082, and 551.0821. Before the grievance presentation begins, the board will consult with its legal counsel regarding the grievance process pursuit of the Texas Government Code 551.076. We will now go into executive session. The time is now 12:58 p.m. a.m.
Yeah.
whatever it might be. Do I have a motion regarding the grievance?
I move that the board deny the appeal of Ms. Byers concerning appealing the dismissal of her grievance, and that the board affirm the administration's decision to dismiss the grievance based on untimeliness.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we'll go back to our regular meeting, and the next thing on the agenda is school board election.
Yes, sir. Item number 4, consider ordering the 2020 school board election. We had a change from the May election to Mr. Brandon Chris, who is our trained elections officer here.
Yes, thank you. Back in May, the governor, before actually in May, the governor came out
and allow districts and authorization to postpone the election to the November 3rd, 2020 election cycle. So today I'm here due to that proclamation to give a revised order for the 1920 November 3rd school board election. If seats that are up, we have 2 seats that are open or that are coming up for re-election. And so anybody that filed during the filing period up to the May election will stay. There will be no opening of or refiling of any new candidates. There's some stipulations on voters by mail on certain criteria. But if anybody that was going to be out of town at the time of the election wanted to vote, if they're going to be in town, they have to go by in person now. So those won't be valid. And so some relevant dates, there's a sheet there. The deadline to post for the next election is August 17th. That's why I'm bringing the order today. On October 4th, we'll publish the election in the newspaper. Early voting starts 6 days earlier. So there's a change there. The window is a lot longer than normal early voting. That was a proclamation earlier just came out. So we will start early voting on October 13th.
Is that going to include 2 Saturdays now, or just the
It'll
one?
run probably all the Saturdays through the election. I got to look at the calendar on how many Saturdays it is. And the early election last day to vote early would be October 30th. So that's 13th to the 30th. Last day to turn in your mail by ballot will be the 23rd. We'll have the election on November 3rd, and then we'll canvass the votes at the 17th meeting. And so today I'm asking the board to approve the new order, the revised order for our November 3rd election.
Explain number August 17th to me.
August 17th, that is I have to post the new order on the website and on the official document. So the thing that y'all signed today, the order, I have to post it by the 17th. And so we didn't have another board meeting until the 18th. That's why I'm doing it today. Because you'll have to approve this, the order of the election, and I have to post it by the 17th. So the 2 documents are right behind this page that I have to have up on the website and every site that we use for voting.
Is there, Brandon, I remember that Pete Bernal had said that he was out of the election, but then he said he was back in the election. So what was the final conclusion on that?
He is part of the election. His paperwork wasn't officially notarized when he
Okay.
turned it in. So
Okay.
he has retracted, so he will be part of the election.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Nope. All right, do I have a motion?
Second.
Oh, I motion. I move.
I'm sorry.
I had a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. President, can we get down to item 7 next, please? That's on the same kind of arena there.
All right, item number 7. The joint election with Bear County.
Yes, sir. Because we're required to hold a joint election with a municipality, a county, city, or community college, and due to the fact the size of the November 3rd election, the district is recommending joining the joint election with Bear County to provide not only the election sites but the service for us to host the election. And I know that normally we have a joint election with Lido, but that's usually during the May time frame. All the other elections we've had in November, we've actually had to join Bear County. And so tonight, we're recommending the board approve the joint election contract with Bear County.
So when we go with Bear County, we will be getting more early voting sites, but fewer voting sites the day of the election in our school district.
In our school district.
Right.
So in the early voting from the 13th to the 30th, we will have this site here, like we normally do on early voting, but we will get all the other, there's a list now that they're updating, all their election sites, so anybody can go anywhere in the city. And I believe so on election day, they'll be able to do that as well.
Okay.
But we will have limited sites on election day just because of the size of the election. They will cut down the number of sites. And I can tell you, probably Sun Valley and possibly Big Country will be the 2 sites that we will lose.
Okay.
And so we have to use Johnson Library and the other sites that are closer to them.
Okay.
So we're working through those. I have a meeting Friday with the Bear County election as soon as we sign this joint election. And we'll work out all the details and we'll bring more information. It'll all be posted so people know what exactly we're doing.
Thank you, Brandon.
Need a motion?
I move.
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Do you have another favorite? Item number 5, compensation plan.
Yes, as we walk through market trends and meeting with other school districts and trying to determine how to navigate COVID, working on budget, working on ADA, and all the different things that are very uncertain, plus with the uncertainty of the next legislative session. We're here today to really, compensation plan that you have in front of you is the same compensation plan you approved previous year. I did put in the first page there kind of where we are comparable to other districts on salaries, especially for teachers. And so today we're recommending that we do a kind of a 0 increase. We need this to finish budget so that we can properly staff and put the compensation plan into next year's budget. The thing that we would possibly look at is, since we're doing a 0, no increase for all employees, we'll look at budget as we move through November and seeing how we're trending as far as revenue to determine if we possibly do a package of incentive check like we did previously this year and the year before to help our employees. But right now, the recommendation would be to adopt this compensation plan, which would be no increase for any employees. With that being said, the idea behind this is to mitigate any future issues with budget when the legislation session comes out, where we would have to possibly, cut not only salaries but staff and deal with possible budget cuts that could come down the line.
So not even the step increase.
Not even the step increase.
Are we considering, are we gonna be able to consider retention incentive at all?
Correct. That's going to be our plan. We're going to move forward, and it'll probably be around November when we have a good idea. We're really going to have to figure out how we're going to take attendance, remote, and making sure we're monitoring ADA, because that's the biggest part of our revenue besides the taxpayers. And then we have our issues with taxpayers and that collection rate. So we'll monitor that, and we'll get you good numbers, and at the same time, we'll come back and talk. And I will tell you where we are as far as revenue, and if we want to do something possibly from balance, that'll be an option.
Mhm.
I will give you everything, but we're going to need some time to navigate through, the things that are going on with the entitled earnings, with ADA, the collection rate on tracking revenue.
Can I ask you on the step increase? I'm not real clear on how that works. But when we say we give a 2% raise, do we give that on top of the step increase or?
It kind of like works in hand. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like when I'm moving from this year to this year, what is that increase overall? And that's kind of where we get that 2% or 3%. It's included in it. So normally when we do a 0, it's 0 across the board.
So if you do a step increase, can you do that and not give a percentage raise? That's my question.
You could, it'll end up being some kind of percent at the end of the day for that person. It's different levels, because if you look at step 1 versus step 2 on the teacher scale, maybe $100 or $200, but if you get further up in the scale, it can be $600 to $700 per teacher. So it's a difference, but we usually work that in when we actually give the percentage overall.
Can we look at what it would cost just to do the step?
It did. It's about $700,000 to do a step, because not only the teachers get a step, but your librarians, your counselors, your bus drivers, and
So it's $700,000 to give everybody across the board a step.
a step right now.
The paras, every para.
No, not parents, because your clerical staff, your professional staff, your staff at central office are more on a,
Hourly?
no, they're not an hourly, it's a different type of scale, it's not a step scale. So that's based on actual percentage we get every year. So that would not include them at all. We just did give everybody a step. So they would be your own groups, clerical staff and professional staff. We don't have a step system. Other people that we do have a step for are your hourly, your bus drivers, counselors, and
And your teachers?
your teachers. Yeah.
I can say our recommendation is very parallel to all the local districts we're talking with as well. I can tell you in past history, the employee retention is very much appreciated. Whereas the steps kind of become part of that salary and really don't make an impact over time.
Okay.
Really great question, but I think we really want to make the impact and show employees the appreciation for the
Yeah, the only reason I ask is that I know when we don't give a step increase and then we don't give a step increase, then the third year we're like, oh, we're gonna have to give a 5% raise just to get back up to the step increase, right? So I'm just, that was why I asked.
I understand it completely. Understand that point. I'm just really worried about, I mean, revenue this year, we don't know what the trends are gonna happen with our student population. And then we know more in January, and hopefully this was a one-time thing. And in January, they don't mess with school finance, and then we can fix it in 1 year, not 2 or 3 years down the road.
All right,
So the recommendation to approve the current 2020, 2021 process.
Which is no change.
No change.
I move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye again.
Aye.
Motion carried. You had to wake me up. Thank you. All right, Mr. Superintendent, where you want to go now?
Yes, sir. Item number 6 is we're asking the board to consider approval of our operation connectivity and local activation. This is, I didn't say it. And this is Brandon's done some work with TDA. This is TDA offering all the ISPs in the state of Texas an opportunity to tap into purchasing power when it comes in the form of technology connectivity. And even though through Brandon's leadership, we have done a lot of this already, we don't want to miss the opportunity. So I'll turn it over to him, let him speak about what we're recommending to do so that we be part of the interlocal agreement so that we don't miss opportunities to negotiate with the folks we're already doing business with.
So what TA has done is they've partnered with Region 4 Service Center, kind of like our Region 20 Service Center. And they are a cooperative that's working with the state to get pricing for not only technology devices, but hotspots, Wi-Fi hotspots, which is right now in the current market, everybody in the whole world is buying that stuff. And so we ordered back in probably early May, or April, we ordered 7,000 Chromebooks and we have not received them. It's been 3 months. And so our shipment's coming in next week. Finally, a lot of districts didn't have the ability to go to one-to-one like we did in the spring, really suffered in that. And so they're really nervous about coming up in August and having to do remote. So we are in a better place for that, but at the same time, the state realizes that there's a market problem, and so they're getting involved. And so they've come up with some pricing and some bulk purchasing that we can tap into. We're more interested in the Wi-Fi hotspots. I will tell you that I've already purchased 1,600 of them and have them already on site. But they actually got better pricing than we did. So I wanted to be a part of this cooperative so that we can reach out to those vendors that we've already worked out a deal with and say, hey, we're part of this cooperative. Can you fix our pricing? Because it is a big price. That's one of the things as far as budget. That's going to be a big budget type item next year. So I'm talking around $360,000 to $400,000 in just Wi-Fi and connectivity for next year. So this will help us get better pricing and able to tap into buy additional Wi-Fi hotspots. I don't see us buying any more devices because we have what we have already plus 7,000 more new ones, but we would probably possibly need more hotspots as we go. So I'm asking the board to approve the members of this cooperative and join in on the bulk pricing and potentially purchase more items if we need them, especially in the hotspot Wi-Fi.
Brandon, remind me, did most of the kids keep the devices over the summer?
I wouldn't say that most of them, but we had a good percentage that did. So we gave parents the choice at the end of the school year. So all our hotspots are still out. So most of the parents kept their hotspots over the summer. And I would say you would have 25% or 30% kept the Chromebooks. Most of them we got back, just gave them an option.
What condition did they come back in? Were we pleasantly surprised, or were we, oh no?
I don't think we have a bunch of oh no's, but we do have some issues that they've been working through. And most of it was just keyboard type stuff. Things.
Small.
Yeah, small. There was some times where they came back and there was a couple of crack screens. Other than that, it wasn't a lot of major issues.
Okay.
But we anticipated that, so that's why 7,000 was going to be important.
Well, and it's normal. I mean, they're kids, but if it's not endemic or a big problem, that's a good sign.
We are waiting to see the next group that had them all summer.
Okay.
We haven't got those back yet, so we're going to allow them when they come in to switch those out for new ones or keep them if they have a good one.
Okay.
So we're going to do that.
All right.
But we plan on pushing them for the devices out here in the next week or two to get in the hands.
Need a motion?
I move.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. What do you want next, sir?
Item,
It should be the resolution, the resolution delegating authority.
yeah, consider a possible action regarding resolution delegating authority to the superintendent related to COVID-19 pandemic for the 2021 school year. And I believe that's part of the packet. And I don't know if you guys recall, but we did a resolution in spring when the pandemic hit. It hurt. And then we basically, you guys provided some authority to the superintendent because it was such an unknown environment and moving forward. We relinquished that back in June because there were some issues with we wanted to respond to TPIAs, wanted to respond to grievances, and we wanted to make sure that we could move along that time frame and address the needs of the community. And so we did that. Going into the 2021 school year, we are basically going in the most unprecedented school year with the most unknown effects, still contending with COVID and hopefully getting through COVID and onto the other side. We know that because of our plan that we want to provide our parents choice and we want them to be able to make that choice. We want to serve each one of those choices, but we want to do it within the safest environment and still address the issue of making sure our students are learning along the way. We know that COVID will come back to that environment. We know that it will be part of our spectrum. We'll have to make decisions. So this resolution is basically the board saying that superintendent, we're going to give you authority in our absence to make decisions around things like if we have to go back to an environment where everyone goes back home, but we're still asking our cafeteria to come out and serve our students. Can I institute premium pay at that time? Creating flex schedules. Students are going to do asynchronous work. Do we want to do student accounting? If they tap on to the work at 10 p.m. to 11:59 p.m. So instead of bringing these decisions to a board meeting all the time that give us some authority, we have to do a school closure, decisions on protected employee leave, decisions on waivers and attestations to TEA, stop outs. It could be one campus, it could be a whole district, it could be a classroom that we're going to have to make decisions on. Depending the contingent on contact tracing, if we do have issues breaking out, flexible timelines, purchases in our district that we just heard something about, instructional models. Right now we have basically 2.5 instructional models, and basically remote module, and we have a face-to-face module. Then we have a hybrid that is a part of the face-to-face module for our secondary students that TEA puts parameters on, and we're complying with that. And then decisions around UIL, like if students who chose remote because their families say, no, my child's not coming to school yet. They're a senior and they want to compete in the UIL sport or fine arts program, that you give me authority to make decisions that say yes, they'll compete. Because normally you would have to be in school physically under UIL rules to participate in UIL events. So there's 12 items on here. I'm sure you've had a chance to look over them. We cannot do anything if the board were to approve this without notifying the board first, without any of that information. And if there's any issue that we have time that says we have a board meeting coming up, we would like to wait for after the board meeting, we would definitely put that issue in the board meeting as a vote. So I know there are some districts who never relinquish their original resolution. There are some that have. And we're just trying to prepare to start the school year. Otherwise,
Who's smiling? Me?
I know why, and it's because you look so much like Abraham Lincoln when it's right there.
I never smile.
But one thing for the resolution right now, we're trying to navigate purchases that we've never purchased before. And I have this kind of in the slide is there's a lot of items that we weren't really prepared to purchase with this last year's budget, but those things are going to go over 50,000. We will bring those to the board meeting to tell you at the time and seek approval, but we would like to move forward and make those purchases because it's time. timeliness when the kids actually get here. And those, a lot of these things are long lead items. Just buying hand sanitizer is going to push us over 50,000. But if I don't move now, I'm going to be in the
That's
same
not
market
gonna be
trends that are going on.
Well, we gave you that authority before
Correct.
because of what's going on.
We
Correct. But
rescinded it.
we
We
did come back
rescinded it.
and stopped it.
Yeah.
In May, June, the June board meeting, but now that we're back, kind of working this arena again, we're asking.
Is there a way to grant authority without granting authority for everything?
Sure. It can be in the motion that says we bring authority with the exclusion of items.
My concern with granting full authority to you or to the superintendent is that when Governor Abbott came out with his last statement as far as how school's going to look, he basically put the decision making on us, right? It says very clearly that it's up to the individual school boards to decide. So he didn't say it's up to us to give our authority to the superintendent to decide. So I'm just a little unsure of giving that authority to the superintendent.
Well, I understand that. Basically, you're seeing it as a scheme of eight. So, I mean, if that's an aspect of the resolution that the board says we want to have more say in, and we want to be more part of, and we don't want you making decisions and just informing us what we're going to do, then I would recommend that you use that item.
I'm gonna make a motion exactly the way y'all wrote it. Okay? And this is the one that you wrote, right? And if you want to change that, well, I guess we could change it if you want to amend it. But I don't know that you could do that. I don't know what you could amend.
We can exclude, because they're listed in the resolution within 12 items. So the resolution on the backside, so one that talked about with shutting schools down would be number 6, where the authority to make decisions regarding the opening and closing of campuses of the entire district throughout the school year as may be necessary as a result of COVID-19 or any of the orders of the federal, state, or local government authorities. So it would be an item specifically what you're speaking on, would be item 6 that we would exclude. So that what that would mean is that we couldn't shut a campus down if the COVID outbreak happened unless we went to the board for approval. So that's the.
Well,
Then you'd have to have a board meeting and everything.
If
See, that might be a mess up.
no, I know, but if there's an outbreak of COVID, then the health department's going to make you close the school down.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about how day one of school is going to look. Because, I mean, as board members, we have the responsibility to represent the people that elect us. And we have a lot of voices on one side, we have a lot of voices on the other side, and education has never been a one fits all. And I think since March, it's been a one-way fix all, and it's not working. So I don't know that we can just decide arbitrarily this is going to be the decision for every child in our school district because it's not working for every child. So I mean, I have faith in you that you're going to do the right thing, but I also know that there's a lot of times we don't agree on what the right thing is. So
Question, you can make any decision?
Within the parameters of this resolution, that my last thought,
Related to
Yeah.
COVID-19.
related to this and consider the time we're in, because of time the issue, but if we are going to have a board meeting, what we provide, so we have to work.
So
It's the same thing.
will you stop talking and let me talk? If you had, in other words, as this virus is going on, and of course you have parents that some that want their kids to go to school and be here, and some want to be at home. What percentage do you think would want to come back and be in the building?
The number we're getting right now, the last aggregate survey.
All right.
That would change according to the landscape.
That'll change to what? Don't use big words. I need little words. Don't use big
I
words.
think you need it.
Hospitalizations and positivity rate and all that diminishes, then there's more people who feel more comfortable sending their children to school, right?
But basically, you are having kids and parents that want their kids to come to school. So, and of course, I've talked to Ida and she told me what to say. So
I did
I'm
not tell you
thankful.
what to say. What I said was, let me clear that up. What I said was,
I'm getting to
I
it.
don't want to blindside you, and this is what I'm going to say. I did not ask your
I'm sorry.
opinion on how you felt about it. I just felt as president, he needed to be aware of what I was going to bring up. But I in no way asked for anybody's support
That's true.
beforehand,
But
just so the record shows.
No, I appreciate you being very genuine about your feelings.
I'm getting to it. What if that 26 people or 36 or 40 people want to come to school and they brought up they want to be here. They want to be in the building. Their parents want them here. And you take them, and probably some of your students and parents that want to have them in the building and want to learn. Would you want to take those 40 and do the best job you possibly can for them?
That's a decision we're going to have to make collectively before we get school year. That's a decision that we've been talking about for 4 months.
Well, that decision should have been made 75 years ago. In my mind, if you could have taken and the parents and the students that want to be in the building, and you have the teachers that want to teach, what kind of job are you going to have? You've got the 3 things that need to be for students to succeed and teachers to succeed. Right now, you have that right in front of you if you want to take advantage of it.
And I appreciate that. I understand. I don't use very good conditioning, following the safety protocols and distancing, and we have to have 2 stop outs based on outbreak. And in a perfect world where everyone makes the right decisions and we notify folks if there is a positive, then it works out. In this world of unknown, it doesn't all on that. It doesn't deny the fact that I know there are parents who want to send their children back on day one. I think what we're going to ask in our plan that we're going to bring to this collective group of decision makers is let us do this over some time. Let us put some capacity.
I'm sorry.
Let's put some capacity thresholds over time and build up so that in the event we think we'll be more successful. We only have a few students to deal with, and using day 1 too. That's part of that process. But let us start with like a 10% capacity issue. Let us set a time period for the future. And mental health is also working right now with a group of decision makers to provide a color-coded kind of overtime that says that this is where the metrics are right now. We can have more students. The metrics are a little different 2 weeks. You can have more students. We're not ready to bring that to this board yet, but that's one of the items we want to make. Or I want to make senior staff without also without you guys being able. We have time to make that decision yet. Right now, the way it is, if we were bringing that plan today to the board, we would ask to let us include those fraction of students who have been most impacted because of the stop outs in March, and they just get nothing from technology. And technology doesn't help them. I get that. I understand that. Their educational trajectory is really important. We want to address those issues. But predominantly, most of other students are getting something out of the remote learning environment. And now we're moving an emergency remote learning environment that started in March. It's a whole different remote learning expectation in the fall. And our parents are going to be very proud that their children are part of that. That has connectivity with students all through the day, and students are expected to be in school.
I agree with that completely. I said I agree with that completely.
So let us bring you that. We're not ready to bring it today, but that's starting the school year. I don't expect to put this resolution later. This is once we start the school year and things happen, because they may happen at a very fast rate. If they do, I want the authorities to make decisions
but we notify the board first before the meeting.
Well, I'm okay with once the school year starts. I just want this board to have a say in how school's gonna look when we start. Because that is what our charge has, we've been given that responsibility and I don't wanna sign that over.
We agree with that 100%.
Lloyd, regardless of how the school year ends up starting, we're gonna give them choice, but they're not gonna be able to go back and forth, right?
After grading period, they can.
So it's
We're
after
gonna
the,
build in, kind of a designated time, so we need to know about a week before the end of the grading period if you're gonna remain in remote or coming back face to face or vice versa.
and what are our grading periods right now? Is it 6 or 9 weeks?
It is 9 weeks at the secondary, or vice versa.
And is this component going to include choice for the teachers or only the students?
I'm sorry.
Is this component going to include choice for the teachers or only the students?
Yeah, big question. So we know collectively, and with all of the training we've been at TEA and with Region 20 and with our counterparts, we know that remote instruction from a teacher, well, we think we know, in a classroom is different than remote instruction from a dining room. We also know that there are some very talented educators that can deliver, no matter where they're standing, and we get that too. The idea is that those students that we're serving with our educators are extremely important. There's going to be some variance because they're coming out of an emergency over the weekend, moved to a remote environment, and there's going to be some deficiencies we have to address as educators. So imagine this, you start at your elementary teacher, so you start with your 22 students that morning and everyone logs on. So you have a morning of logging on and you talk about what the learning is going to be for the day. And then you're doing literacy. And so here's a literacy lesson. You do that for 30 minutes now. Everyone, you can log off and start your independent activity. Then we'll come back and check in later on. But when they log off and start, each already knows which student small groups may need some more help, which student may need some one-on-one Zoom. So it gives you an opportunity. You can do it at home too, I get it. But at home, there may be other kind of distractions and things that happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. So the idea is that so now you're still maintaining small group, you're maintaining one-on-one instruction for those students who need it. You're involving your literacy interventionists to come in and work at your classroom. You can do the social distancing. All the third grade teachers can have a collaborative. You don't violate the 10% capacity on campus. So there's a lot of opportunity to really take this to a whole nother level. But if we're all kind of all over the place, then there's some challenges. We can work through them. But I don't think at this point in time, we want our teachers to feel safe in the building. We want our students to feel safe when they come in the building. We want our parents to feel safe when they're sending their children in the building. And I just don't think that we can do that for everyone. Everyone, we can't support everyone's decision. So we're still talking about how do we help start the school year off where people are comfortable, they feel safe, and we are probably going to use a phase-in time over time that says we're going to start small, but if things go okay, we're going to ask more people to come in. I know they're doing it at Northeast ISD right now. There's a year-round school. They've been in session for the past 4 weeks, and we have a Zoom coming up with them as a local area to learn about what they're doing. And all their teachers have been expected to be in the classroom to do remote teaching from the classroom. And so we're going to learn about their journey so that we can make decisions. And I think that's taking place sometime this week. I don't know the exact date, but
They don't have,
examples we can look at.
Well, and I guess, and my concern is that, that coach that ended up being positive, that was at Legacy, that person went home and 4 of his family members ended up positive after he was positive. So, and we're just fortunate that his parent, who is immune suppressed, had not had contact with him. So, that, which is, one of our really big concerns is that we bring our teachers in, expose them, then they go home and expose others. And of course, what that means to the public health system when those infections spike up, right? Not everybody's going to need the healthcare system. Some may be asymptomatic. Some may have minimal symptoms that are easily managed at home. However, there'll be a percentage that will have to go into the hospital. And if all the districts all open up around the same time and start sending adults into the buildings, and then the children follow, and then it's not just our little district and a few kids. It's the aggregate is thousands of human beings in buildings that have no ventilation. Most of our buildings don't have windows. And I mean, right now we have about 15% capacity in the healthcare system, according to the statistics, right? So that's not very much. And then if thousands of human beings start coming into our school systems, how quickly is that going to reach capacity in the Bexar County area?
And there's also been news information about districts that have already opened up in other states that have had outbreaks the very first day.
Well, also on another note, parents who have jobs have been having to go to work every day or they don't get paid. So we have parents that are ending their unpaid FMLA soon, and they're not going to be able to go back to work because we're not letting their kids go back to school. So at the same time, we're concerned with our employees, right? Because there are teachers and there are employees, but they are teachers and we all have jobs to do. And just like we're expecting it as a corporate person, you don't go to work, you don't get paid unless your job can afford you to work from home. People are making hard decisions left and right. So we just can't look at it from an education standpoint. We also have to look at the burden that we're placing on our parents because they're part of our community also. So we just can't make a decision that says we don't want any of our employees to get sick, so we're going to let them stay home, which makes all the children stay home, which makes the parents who earn money for their home and their food and their clothing and everything stay home also. So we've got to look at it with a wider lens than just our teachers.
Did Northeast, how did they use any of their rooms? Do they have any people or students come and use their classrooms?
They are full remote. That's my understanding, but teaching remote from classrooms. Between the students.
How do they spray their rooms down? What process do they use to clean their rooms?
Good question. We'll have an opportunity in our Zoom to ask them before that presentation. Either today or tomorrow, I might be listening right now.
I would
And
think
the
they
teachers
had
are
some.
allowed to bring their students too, if their students are doing remote with another district or with whomever, and they're all keeping them in a separate area with distance.
We're offering school care to our teachers as well, which means instead of leaving their children who are school age at home up through 14 years old, they can bring them into school, have a place. Now, they would have to just engage in their work, like you said, so they can use our internet and our devices to
But what are we doing for our employees who have adult special needs children that cannot stay by themselves, that are in our system? What are we doing for that? Okay.
So yeah, it's frustrating for everybody.
It's difficult,
What we're going to do is bring you guys the best model we think. Listen to your feedback and try to create something that everyone can count on, that will be safe and take care of kids. And hopefully we get through this semester and there's some different landscape spring this school year for kids. It's going to be really tough. It's going to be it's going to be a difficult fall, but it's not one that we can stop out and do that excellent in-house contact tracing. So we're preparing for all.
What was the percentage of teachers that said they would voluntarily return?
When we surveyed the teachers, it was around 44% who said they're comfortable. This was about a week and a half ago. We can do that.
It's a good number. It's a good number.
So initially, we could probably start with the people that are comfortable coming back, because they're not, everybody has individual circumstance. And I understand that corporate America is still going to work. A lot of parents are going to work. But in those environments, the companies have made already big changes as well. And you're not in those jobs, you're not taking care of, small children and trying to make sure that they don't touch other kids and that they keep their masks on, that they, there's just a very different variable component when you're educating children than when you're in a corporate environment.
Yeah, in the hybrid model, part of the idea is that the teacher's teaching their classroom with the kids who chose remote or still at home. So I know we're going to have to really kind of ask for a special board meeting to really lay that out.
Call for a vote. You want to vote against?
And we'll give you as much information as you can. What that looks like, we may require some teachers to be in the classroom. Says this only works if you're physically here. If, for instance, if we have 2 chemistry teachers and they both want to stay remote, and we have kids on campus who want face-to-face, we have to require somebody to be there of the 2 to teach it face-to-face, right? So,
All right,
a lot of things like that to work with.
I need a motion.
Well, let me ask you a question.
All right,
One quick.
go ahead.
By the way, what motion do you need?
Our recommendation is to approve the resolution.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got,
I was just gonna say that I thought the intent of this was if there's some kind of emergency, we've got to make a decision
Fast, right?
because this, and we don't have time for a board meeting.
That is the intent. Yes. You have
And that in terms of discretion, you really haven't been given any more discretion except to make those emergency decisions.
And in all transparency, there are actually more items on here originally. This was actually architect with our attorneys.
Yeah.
We do resolutions that prepare this way. And we actually have moved about 3 or 4 of them off that we
Yeah.
would be no emergency
Well,
in determining,
yeah. Okay. Well, I so
Wait, so that does not include how school looks day 1 of opening? Are you saying that?
I look through here and I don't see that.
Okay, so we,
Number 6 is just.
In emergency.
once we're in session.
Once we're in session, we have an outbreak and the governor shuts us down and gives the superintendent authority to shut us down.
Okay, as long as it does not include,
or
Day
else
one.
in theory, you'd have to have a meeting maybe every day. Just,
right,
but the point is,
Together, so we're not going
we work well. It's not like we have, people that are gonna, throw rocks at it. We will work together. I'm sure you said you're gonna call everybody. So I so move.
I second.
motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. What's the difference in item 9 and what we've already done? Do you have another grievance?
9. No, we already did 9.
Are you talking about item 8? No, sir. The only one you heard today was the only one you had. You heard it in remote session, you made a decision in open session.
Yeah.
All right,
We've already done. Can
We're
we do a
finished?
budget update?
We have a budget update, so I know that
where's
it's
that?
way past time.
It's right here.
I got a couple things I want to share.
Next page.
I'm gonna go really fast.
It's right here.
We're gonna ask you to come in a couple more times before we get.
Oh, that's right.
to your vote.
I never look
So I'm
at
gonna
the
share
second
with you
page.
a brief, real quick. August 25th, and I'll send this out. We'll have a public hearing for the adopted tax rate. August 25th is a key date. Working through it. I want to share with you where we are on tax rate. So here's our history on our tax rate. Going across. One thing that will be different is this year's tax rate will actually be lower. We're getting compressed. So that you will see the M&L tax rate
Take $100, give 2 cents back.
So that data, I'll bring more to you, but that's what we bring into the actual board meeting to get approved as far as the zone 25th. Well, here's my numbers. We're trending well. Based on today, the compensation plan being approved, we move forward with finishing off our expenditures, because a big part of that is salaries. And kind of just to tell you where we are. Right now, I'm about 120,000 over. So I need to fix that. We're working through budgets, but we do have a lot of expenses that are dealing with. We had some staff members that we've added, but also we are working through a lot of COVID type situations with buying and setting up budgets to prepare for replenishing hand sanitizer, replenishing dispensers, and those type of items that we really never budgeted for. We had those, but at the level that we're at now, the technology, the hotspots. What I wanted to share with you now, I put this in the budget. This is what we're doing right now. I've worked through our budgets that I had where we had leftover funds in other areas. I was able to scrounge around $700,000 to make purchases. But as you look up here, this is what we're anticipating to roll out to start schools. When we have kids face to face, we're up to about 1.4 million in expenditures. And that's everything from our child nutrition department putting plastic dividers between them and the students. So we're having to build those. There's new technology we have to do for curbside. If you get into the actual facilities, we're trying to buy dividers for desks in every classroom, in labs, and in special classrooms. Those are like $30 to $40 a piece, and we're buying 4,000 to 5,000 of them. And so these numbers are really starting to climb. We're going to replace all the water fountains with water fountain kits that allow kids to use water bottles, so they don't have to touch anything. It'll be electronic. So there's a lot of things we're doing to prepare for shared surfaces, to keep kids divided and separated, so that when the kids do come back to face, they feel like they're in a safe environment. So we're doing sanitation kits for every classroom, for teachers to have ready prepared when there's kids in there, for like hand sanitizer, wipes, and different types of cleaners that they can use. Then the custodians coming in. So there's a lot of expenses. So I bring this up because right now, as I'm working through budget for the end of this year, I did not prepare a budget to pay for all these items in this fiscal budget. So I may come to you in the next board meeting for some fund balance to finish off these purchases. We are purchasing what we can now, and then we're going to get quotes. And then at the next board meeting, I may ask for some fund balance to determine what the difference is. It'll be one-time purchases for these types of items that weren't in this year's budget. But in next year's budget, I'm working those funds in to actually make these purchases, so we won't have them next year. But right now, at the end of the year, I'm moving monies around and see what we have left over, and we are getting up there in the expenses, and this is where we are today.
Well, that's why that money was put there.
Yes, sir.
Brandon, real quick,
Yes, sir.
whenever you're putting that stuff away, there's somebody monitoring that who might take out the hand sanitizer or something, because there's an outbreak, there's a shortage on this stuff. A lot of that stuff could walk away from our district, and just, I was wondering somebody's gonna keep an eye on that to where
we
they have
plan
to,
on putting it also in our warehouse, so we do our inventory it all.
they have to check it out. Okay.
Well, we're gonna buy it, and then we make the campuses buy it from us, so there's a system that tracks it. So we buy it for them, and then with their budget, they purchase it. We're gonna do some, first day, we're gonna give everybody the kits, and everybody has stuff. But we're gonna build their budget so they can.
A lot of that stuff will walk away pretty quick.
We have to inventory everything we got from the state. We're gonna inventory everything that we receive and purchase. And so this is not buy it and go drop it off the campus. They actually buy it and they need to replenish it.
Up to the campuses to keep track of their stuff.
Good luck.
So that's all. Again, I'll just say that we're gonna work towards a balanced budget. But I want everybody, I want to be mindful that revenue and expenditures, we have not very good trend data as we produced last year. We're going to do the best we can. We'll just monitor it, and I'll let you know more about the retention as we get closer to November, if it's within the budget or we need to do something else.
Brandon, on that first item there, the curbside meals, is that gonna be only for those that qualify, or is it gonna be everyone that?
Everybody right now, we're CPE across the board. So any kid in our system, any family needs for free. So we're going to start the school year because we know that a lot of kids are going to be remote. I will say that we're nervous about that. We're going to start 5 days a week at all our campuses, and we're going to actually go to neighborhoods again. But one place that's going to face financial problems is child nutrition, because they can't make enough revenue to keep up with the payroll and the supplies, because of the staffs. It happens up in the spring, and you can see if you don't have kids in schools, there's a lot of kids that don't come and pick up meals, that we depend on that revenue that we get from the federal government to subsidize. So there may be some issues with that that we'll have to look at. We'll bring those losses to y'all. And he has fund balance to cover that Wednesday, but he will probably diminish a lot of that this fiscal year. So next year we may have to help out with our fund balance to cover child nutrition.
Are the school districts doing anything as a united front to try to get the government to subsidize that based on like last year's lunches, or something that as a united front y'all are doing?
Correct. Well, they didn't really what they're doing, they're allowing us to do more things to help deal with that. I guess lessen the rules so that we can provide easier access to meals. As far as subsidizing, it's kind of like it's already a subsidy because it's free. lunch. And so
No, I mean, like saying, okay, last year you served this, even, because we're not in session or whatever. It seems like that would be like a common sense
It
thing,
would be,
but
I don't know, it's all based on meals. It's almost like ADA, they gave us a pass in the spring, and don't worry about attendance, but they're not doing that anymore.
yeah,
So if we get in the school year, if we're not taking good attendance, we have bad ADA, they're not gonna bail us out anymore. They're gonna give us a window to figure it out.
Mhm.
Give us 2 to 6 weeks, but after that, we're on our own. They're
Yeah.
gonna tell us, hey, y'all didn't, y'all lost all the students. You got to get them here.
yeah.
And that's what they're gonna do us, and that'll hurt us.
As far as ADA, the parts of the art area, especially where I live out by McNair, even with a hotspot, it's very sketchy, right? Like you're trying to watch the teacher and it's 30 seconds, 1 minute delay. So how are we going to make sure that those kids get counted as attending when they're having trouble logging in?
I would say, I know that's a plan that they're creating.
Okay.
And I know that it's not just necessarily checking in and like getting on a live stream.
Mhm.
So it may be something where they turn an assignment in some way
Okay.
to an LMS system that's not as hard as streaming.
Right.
So it's kind of like turning in assignments on a daily basis. So
Okay.
there's different criteria. It's not necessarily just jumping in a classroom
All
and
right.
taking a roll.
That was my concern because I know they try out there and it's just sketchy.
It's
when
some
you
kind
get
of check-in somehow that day.
Okay.
Also, the PEA guidelines specifically state that the internet connectivity is a problem
Okay.
that we have with the students on our campuses.
Okay.
To access.
Well, that's good because we do have a lot of that out in the rural areas.
Yeah, we would have a designated area on campus that is, use our technology.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
So I plan on the 25th, you'll get a lot more detail by campus and what
Okay.
some programs. I know that we did very limited. Things that are not-
Brandon, are we looking, and we haven't talked about this at all, and I don't even know if y'all are there in the planning about the buses or busing children or the parents that need to bring
So
them?
part of a lot of this, what we're talking about, like social distancing in classrooms, we're working how to figure out our cafeterias and our buses. It's all gonna be, a lot of it's some numbers. So when we put out the application and we know exactly who wants face to face, we start getting those ideas, we can plan better. We plan on social distancing everywhere that we can possibly do that. But it's gonna be based on numbers. If we have some numbers, some hard numbers of like, this is how many kids we can social distance on a bus.
Yeah.
But if we have more kids than we can social distance, we still have to provide transportation. We have to figure it out. It may not be 6 feet, it may be 4 feet.
So it could potentially cost us the same amount of money to bus only 25% of the kids as it does. Like we may end up spending
Transportation
the
actually-
full amount of money, even though we're only gonna get a portion of the.
Well, I say that I think our transportation costs are gonna go up because based on the asynchronous learners, we're actually gonna try to bring them in, like especially in the high school. So we're gonna run more routes to go get to drop kids off for athletics and come to practices, even though they don't want to be in an instructional.
Mhm.
Where we're gonna, kids that are gonna have to come to Wells, they can't do that online, so we gotta give them an opportunity. So we'll have our normal routes where we pick the kids that are face to face. And then we'll have routes that will either drop kids off after, like the kids that want to be asynchronous, working remotely, take them home, and then pick up another set of kids like freshman and junior high kids that come back to school. So there's gonna be
So
more
very
transportation
complicated.
costs, based on,
Are we adding barriers in the buses? I don't know. I saw somewhere that they want to put plexis on buses. I don't
we
know.
can't modify school buses.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Just open the windows,
Yeah.
keep the
We have to
windows
keep the
open.
windows down.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna practice, we're gonna get masks and all, we're gonna meet requirements. We haven't really got there. We're
Yeah,
planning that,
that's
but
what I was
we're gonna
asking.
do it.
Yeah.
So
And
that's why we need more time.
So limited the capacity. Since then, those guidelines have been relaxed. We're gonna leave it up to the local entity to figure out what safe transportation looks like. So we can have as few as 6, we can have as many as 40 on the bus if we want to. They're recommending things like opening windows, mask, no more than one person per seat.
Yeah.
Is a guideline, but you guys figure it out. You do what you think is necessary. I just want to touch on the transportation. Sometimes weekly transportation is funded by the state. We probably spend $5 million on transportation, and then over a year, we probably get
1.4 billion is what we get in our routes. So, I mean, part of the overall basic allotment, we have to take money and put Yeah, we spent 5 or 6 for transportation. We are gonna lose, because if we get more routes, that'd be great, but like this last spring, we would have lost a lot of funds, because we didn't do routes from March to
Yeah.
May.
Yeah.
They gave us a whole harness for next year.
Pass.
But I think we're gonna have more routes, because we're gonna have to do more routes to really get kids to try to social distance.
I think if we really put it out to our parents that, you know, that this is the situation we're facing, that we'll have a lot of parents that normally out of convenience have their children ride the bus, would be willing to transport them. I think our parents are, you know, they're more than willing, if they are able to bring them, that they're going to bring them instead of having them on the bus.
Mhm.
So we might look at that too.
That's all I have. I'll bring more for you kids, so. Questions for me?
All right, is that it? All right, let me read some numbers.
Is that it?
All right, we're adjourned, but I got to read some numbers. Texas Government Code 551.071, Board Policy FNG Local, COVID-19 for 2021,
I don't think.
Pursuit Code 551.074 and 551.0821. We're adjourned at 5 minutes to supper.